Hi guys, and welcome to a complete beginner's guide to ESO. So this is for those of you guys who have just bought ESO for the first time now in 2024, are simply new to the game and are feeling a bit overwhelmed once you've started up. Firstly, let's talk about choices to make during character creation. I recommend that you think a little bit about the type of role you like in MMOs before you decide on race and class, whether that's a tank, DPS or healer. If you have no clue, then that's perfectly fine. ESO is great because honestly all the classes can work with any role. Some are obviously better than others, but you can't change your class once that's chosen. Race, appearance and alliance can all be changed with tokens or crowns. Some classes are much more fun to play as well compared to others. Here is a screenshot taken from the ESO wiki page to give you an idea of which classes work better for which roles. This is obviously very subjective, and if you are determined enough, you can make any class work well enough for any role. I've tried all the classes, and Arcane is less so than others, and I do agree mostly with this table. And Percy Dragon Knight is my favorite with regards to enjoyment of the game, and as well as playing solo as a tank character. I feel like you're only going to get a good grasp of how good a class is from actually playing it. So you can look up ahead of time what the class skills are and the passives, but honestly just choose something that might fit in with the kind of playstyle that you have. Try it out. If it doesn't work for you, you can make another character or delete that character. Something to also bear in mind, all weapons and armor are available to you irrespective of your class or race. Unlocking and leveling up the skill lines just requires you to equip the respective item and level up by gaining experience. So once you've thought about what class you'd like to try, then you need to choose your race. Like I said, this can be changed, so don't panic too much. But as you can see from this table, some races are better suited for certain roles than others, and some are more all-rounders. I have a personal preference for the Khajiit because I like the way they look and I find their skills are incredibly useful. I would say that between the Khajiit and the Dark Elf are probably the two best races in my opinion, followed by the High Elf and then the Argonian, but honestly it depends on your role. Argonian is more suited towards more of a tank character, High Elf is obviously more a Magicka character, so it all depends what you're going for. I just want to point out the Dark Elves and their flame resistance passive, which is useful for those that are planning on becoming vampires because of the negative effects of flame damage taken. It also makes the most sense to choose a Nightblade if you want to become a vampire, but vampires versus werewolves and builds and all that is another discussion altogether. Don't worry too much about alliance, as that's only important in PvP areas and it can also be changed like I said. The next thing to factor in is whether you're going to be a Magicka or stamina based character. Usually Magicka is healing and DPS, whereas stamina is more just DPS. Tanks, obviously health is the most important attribute, but you can do anything. You can be Magicka or stamina tank or both. Anything is possible and you can boost your resources and recovery later when you look at gear options. So that leads me into attributes and how important they are with regards to weapon choice and how effective your class abilities are, and as well as how well you perform in your intended role. There are 64 attribute points that you will be awarded as you level up to level 50. If you want to be a stamina or Magicka DPS or healer, it becomes very simple, as all your points should be placed into either Magicka or stamina, because skills that use Magicka are stronger and can be cast more if you have more Magicka. And that's exactly the same for stamina and skills that use stamina. There are some skills that are stronger based on the amount of health you have as well. ESO devs changed it up a bit in update 33. Changed skills to scale dynamically with your highest defensive stats when applicable. This means that any ability that used to scale exclusively with spell damage and max Magicka will now dynamically scale with weapon damage and max stamina, and vice versa. I think a huge problem with blindly following online builds is that there isn't an understanding as to how your attributes and gear all directly influence your skills, both in your class lines and your weapon lines, as well as regen, crits, and also defense and survivability. I strongly recommend you take some time to get used to your character screen and then compare how attribute changes affect the various parameters and performance with the relevant skills. Also, don't be afraid to play around with attributes to test it out for yourself. As you know, you will receive a free attribute respec scroll later on as you level up. Otherwise, it will literally cost you just 3,000 gold later on, so you can change your roles if you're not enjoying being a Magicka healer or whatever it is you decided to be. Also, don't worry about skill points. You'll get them from leveling up until level 50. Also, you'll get so many just from completing main story quests, 1 for every 3 sky shots, if you kill the final boss in the public dungeons, if you're going up in rank within your alliance, zone quests, etc. There's so many ways to get so many skill points. But essentially you'll have enough points to try as many builds as you want on a roll. I originally played as a stamina DPS dual wield and bow dragon knight for a long time, until it didn't feel as effective as I wanted it to for the in-game content. So I decided to change to more of a tank character, using both stamina and Magicka skills, but all my attributes were in health, which is important for PvE vec content with groups. Otherwise, I changed it to dividing my attribute points amongst health, Magicka, and stamina. Okay, so now that you've decided on your race and class and you've done with the tutorial, which honestly I tried the tutorial to see how it's changed with time, and it has changed a bit, but it's still incredibly bare bones basic, and it barely teaches you the basic combat. So now what? The easiest is to just do the quest line in the area you're starting to get some XP, some gear, and just to honestly get into the game. If the area you're starting is too challenging, then you can ask for someone in the zone chat to taxi you to a starter area such as Kanathi's Roost or whatever. Depending on your alliance, you get sent to a different area. I highly recommend you start the main quest as soon as possible, as you'll get more invested into the game. It will give you more background and you'll have more appreciation with regards to some of these characters, and also you get a lot more skill points rewarded compared to doing other story quests. Also for me, Cold Harbor was awesome. I really enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite areas. The main quest is started when you talk to the hooded figure in either Addons, Glenumbra or Stonefalls. Also, make sure you join all the guilds and do their quests, as their passives and skills are very useful for any type of character. There are 6 different guilds that you can join: the Dark Brotherhood, the Fighters Guild, the Mages Guild, Undaunted, the Thieves Guild, and the Sigil Order. Obviously, it's dependent on what actual DLC you own. They each level up via different means. For example, the Fighters Guild is leveled up by killing Daedra and Undead and destroying Dark Anchors, whereas the Mages Guild is leveled up by collecting lore books, which you find all over Tamriel, and the Undaunted is leveled up by completing dungeon achievements. They all have incredibly useful skills depending on the character that you like to play, and passives that are useful to any class or any character. So when you start actually leveling, it's very important that you have a skill from each skill line slotted in your skill bar, or you won't gain XP and unlock further skills in that line. Also, it's very useful to wear one of each type of armor, especially in the beginning, so you can just at least unlock those skill lines and level up, so that if you do decide later on you don't like being a light armor Magicka damage dealer and you want to change to a heavy armor tank or whatever you want to do, then you don't have to start from zero with that skill line. If you're looking for a mount in the beginning of the game, you'll get one for free when you reach level 10, and then you can head to the stables, and I recommend you start upgrading your carrying capacity first, and then you can do speed, and then lastly stamina. It will take a long time to upgrade these things because you can only do it once per day. And also you'll start to notice as you play the game that inventory management will start to become a pain, especially if you don't have ESO+. You can upgrade your personal inventory space to a maximum of 200 and a maximum of 240 for the bank space using gold. If you do have ESO+, the bank space is doubled. And once you feel like you have decent gear to sell and want to start making real money, then you can download Master Merchant and Tamriel Trade Center or add-ons similar to those on PC using Minion, and join a trading guild with low requirements or no sales quota, so that you have an idea of the value of items around you. The prices will also be more accurate if you're part of more trading guilds. So I will do another video in the future regarding these useful add-ons and what works for me. All the gear that's not useful you can either sell or deconstruct. Don't worry about keeping anything until you've reached the max gear level, which is CP 160. Champion points are levels that you get after reaching level 50. The max has now been pushed from 810 from a few years ago up to 3,600. But don't worry too much about that for now, honestly. Very important, if you are interested in crafting, which you really should pursue if you want to get good gear or at least moderate gear without doing vec content, you need to start researching traits as soon as possible, as it can take months in the real world time to complete all the necessary research to craft the gear you want to craft. I recommend you put skill points into those passives that improves your research time. You can always respec them out later, and probably start researching the training traits on the gear so you can make gear that can allow you to improve your XP gain in the beginning. As you can see, there's a huge selection of sets that you can potentially craft depending on your access to the DLC, and once you've managed to research all the different traits, then your options are much greater and you can really make a very interesting customized character. So with regards to the best way to get maximum XP gain for those that want to rush the leveling, which I don't recommend, but I mean I can understand why you want to rush because there is quite a lot to do and to get through. So there are various ways that you can do it. Obviously there are ways that you can use real world money, such as Crown Experience Scrolls, ESO Plus, for example. Although Crown Experience Scrolls you tend to get from just daily logins, and honestly I have hundreds of stacks just from daily logins. So there's other ways, such as what I mentioned with the training trait on gear. There's also the Pledge of Mara that you can do, which gives you a 10% boost when you play with a Ren. There's also other ways like Sigik and Brosa, the playing during events. The High Elves also have a racial passive that gives them 1% boost to experience gain. Yeah, there's a lot of ways. The biggest advice I can give any new player to ESO is to just enjoy the experience. It's a journey. I know people do complain that it's grindy or whatnot. I don't feel that it's grindy at all, but that's my opinion. If you're not enjoying the game, maybe consider trying a different class or a character, because that's probably what the problem is. So then once you do actually get to champion point 160, which is the maximum gear level, then you can start to worry about getting the right sets in order and farming dungeons and that sort of thing, because up until then it really is pointless. You should just be, enjoying the game, doing the quests, leveling up, just focused on that sort of thing, and your crafting, your research, making some money, and learning the ropes of the basic PvE and PvP. My last little tip is for those of you guys who might be wondering why everyone else is moving so much faster on their mounts than you might be, is to go, once you've reached level 10 to Cyrodiil, just do the tutorial. You don't have to do anything else if you don't want to do any of the PvP there. And then you can unlock the Salt skill line, which has this very neat passive called Continuous Attack, which gives you 30% bonus to your gallop speed at all times. For those that have achieved CP 160, I do intend to do future videos regarding what to do from there on, what sort of sets you should do. But in the meantime, I hope this video has helped. But if it hasn't, I do intend to do more in-depth videos in the future. If you did enjoy my video and it helped you in any way, please remember to like and subscribe. And I certainly intend to release many more videos in the future, especially with regards to ESO. Thanks, and I'll see you guys again soon.